Chris Level here with another edition of Patriot Talk with one of the best dudes on the planet, Barry Newton, offensive coordinator over at Lubbock Cooper at Liberty High School, and a powerlifting coach. So we're going to talk a little powerlifting as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the education I got the last time we had Coach Newton on just how that whole thing works. Colton Kuhn's taking care of us as always. It's a fun time of year. We were just talking, depending on when you're watching or consuming this, the NFL draft is this weekend, and it's there's no pressure on anybody. You don't have, you're kind of basically kind of at the end of a spring semester, and you can kind of see the football season off into the distance and all that stuff. So it's kind of a fun time of year to kind of wind down but enjoy.
It is. It's you kind of wind down, but that anticipation's coming quickly. But the draft is probably should be a national holiday if I was in charge of the calendar. But, I've been out to Tech a couple of times, watch those guys practice, and always trying to pick up things. And so, that always kind of whets the appetite a little bit for the fall is coming. So
because your the whole coaching staff at Liberty went to the Texas Tech coaching clinic.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything you gleaned from that?
Just every time we go out there, it's the same thing. It's just the culture out there. Probably the thing, that I've pressed upon to our guys since we've gone is, as talent, talking about the draft, as talented as they are, and, they're anywhere from 5 to 7, 8 guys might get drafted, which is a very talented roster. But it's all about everything you hear those guys talk about, players, coaches, anybody in the building, is how much they all loved each other and cared about each other. And so you realize that, talent only takes you so far. And so that's something I've kind of, our guys like just, being a good teammate, being there for each other is huge. That'll get you through a lot of things that maybe talent can't take care of. So
yeah, effort and care factor are two intangibles.
Yes, absolutely.
You want your cup
absolutely
runneth over on those things. We're going to talk a lot of football here too, but first of all, you're just kind of coming off. Take me through the powerlifting calendar. Because you're on the back end of it now, and so it's over. What's come and gone.
Yeah, so we
and it's still not a. What am I saying right? It's not UIL. It's like a sport, but it's kind of like not. You can't win a state championship or anything.
Well,
or
you can, but
okay.
it's not under. It's never been a UIL sport.
Okay.
And
does that make sense?
I'm on the board of directors, and I have been for 22 years, 23 years.
Like king powerlifting.
And it's never even been talked about. It really started off as something that basically the first time they ever had a state meet, you just showed up, paid your entry fee, and you lifted. And there was no qualification and so it just started off. And Joe Martin, that's the head of the Coaches Association, his school, back when he was coaching, they powerlifted. And so it's just never become a UIL sport. And nobody ever really has a reason why. It's always worked. We have our own association. We do our own thing. And everybody just everybody kind of likes it that way because we don't have to worry about all the dabbling. I mean, we have a rule book. We have a bylaw. We have everything, as a legit association. And we have a ton of membership. We have over 850 schools that competed this year throughout the state.
Because it's very popular.
Oh, it's a massive.
And some of these I don't know, what do you call it, a meet? What do you call it? Is that what you call it, a lifting meet?
Okay. Powerlifting meet.
Yep. And then, see some of the pictures, it's like just people just everywhere.
Yes, I mean, it's a very popular thing. Our state meet in Abilene, we actually we had to add 2 more divisions this year. So we had 3 meets in 2 days, and they were full. We had over almost 1,300 lifters throughout the state. So and it's tough to qualify. You have to be top 2 in your weight class, or you hit a qualifying total, which qualifying totals are like it's a pretty legit lift if you hit the qualifying totals.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very popular and grown a ton in the last 10 to 15 years.
Deadlift,
squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yeah, that was just, I knew there was 3 things. Okay,
Yep.
I knew the bench was one, but deadlift, squat. Okay, and that's it.
That's it.
That's all.
You get 3 attempts at each. Take your best lift of the 3. Add that becomes your total. And that's your total for the day. And then we have 12 weight classes. So you compete with people in your weight class. So to get to regionals, you have to be in the top 12 in your region. And then to advance to state, you have to be in the top 2.
Okay.
So that was something that Coach McGuire and I talked about. He talked about in his Friday night talk. He talked about when he was at Cedar Hill. That was one of the first things he did was started a powerlifting program. Actually, the first time I ever met him, he was coaching his daughter to powerlifting meet. And I had a girl. I had a girl on the same platform. We weren't in the same weight class, but we're in the same platform. That's the first time I ever met him, and she was a go-getter, and he was too. He loved it, and it was fun to watch them. And the little father-daughter deal, that was cool. But he talked about that at Cedar Hill. He said they were taking 3 and 4 teams a weekend, just getting kids to compete, and the saying on the wall in the weight room, there's no excuse for a lack of strength. That's kind of kind of a summation of what but that's kind of the way I've always done it, and kind of our kids really enjoy it. I try to get all the kids that are not in a spring sport and a winter sport, try to get them to do it just to be competing. So we started off, our season's in January. We start our first meet. So we start
when seemingly everything else is going on.
So we go January, February, and then March is kind of our playoff time. That's regionals and state. So we had a really good year. We won every meet that we went to, which was one of the kids' goals to start the season, which was a big deal to me because it's individual, but it's also team. You score team points based on how you finish if you're in the top 5. And so that was a big deal to me. And that was actually the first goal that they set when we met back in December was be team champions. Okay. So that's cool because they're in it together that way.
And is there a direct correlation where your football guys, if you will, does it translate into the fall?
So, it does. And, I've had kids that I've coached over the years that were, it's a lot of it, I really encourage our linemen, because they're typically the ones that aren't in basketball or, maybe baseball hasn't started, but it helps everybody. Caden Joseph as an example.
Not just your big guys.
He goes to the area track meet last week, scores, he's basically responsible for 41 points. And, he went 1,600 in the 165 class. So that's, he's getting a lot of talk, a lot of people interested. And so when you can take a picture of I took a picture of his state meet card because he PR'd in all 3 events at the state meet. And that gets shared around and people take notice.
Because that's what coaches, that's what they want to know. It's like, if you trying to play at the next level and all the things, it's like, okay, what are all the things you're doing? They don't like specialize this or that. That's not what typically translates. And who was your other standout powerlifting wise?
So we had 9 advanced to regionals, which is a really good number. Okay. And then at the regional, we had 4 medal, and then we had 2 advance on the state, Manny Garcia and Caden Joseph. And Manny set 2 records at the regional meet, set a new squat record, went 725.
He's a get off the bus first guy.
Yeah, for sure. The squat record was a 21-year-old record set in 2005. Okay. He went 725 and broke it, and then he broke the total record. He went 1,800.
Is he, because when you first came across Manny Garcia, who plays some offensive line for you,
yes,
he was a freshman for you when you first. Yep. Okay. So that's got to be going to be tough for you to watch him. You're going to have seen the whole thing. So whenever you finally go, man, I've poured into you. I'm done with you. It's somebody else. I mean, because you've really dealt with him. You specifically, all.
That's the thing that now that we've been open 3 years, about to start year 4, and have our first
full cycle
4 full classes. It's something that's kind of starting to hit me a little bit because we have some seniors this year that I've worked with for 3 years. Yeah. But these guys I've had for 4 years. Manny and Hudson Hefner and Dylan Thomas and Connor Cook, Ethan Tinsley. These guys I've literally from day one of football, I've had these guys on the offensive line. And, like you say, it's every day. We spend every waking moment together when we're at school. And it is something that, you pour a lot into it. And they give a lot back. Yeah. And it's my least favorite thing in coaching is graduating seniors. But it's the hardest thing because you just miss seeing them every day, but yet it's also the proudest moment because, you know they're about to go do some really, really, really cool things in their life. But yeah, and it's, you know, you say having them as a freshman, normally, you know, they'll have somebody coaches them in the freshman team, and then not this case. We've had them since the start.
Manny was somebody that I just think about what he was when he came in to you, and you're dealing with him, and you're kind of like, and then now what he'll look like and be as a player, lifter, whatever.
Yep.
You know, whatever, and and that's part of it. That's what. But not every kid does that. Some kids bail out, or they don't progress, or it's like, this is too hard, or whatever. But no, he's a great example.
He is. He is
before and after.
Yes. You know, and there's a lot to it. You know, obviously the strength and the power you develop to translate to the court or the field or the track, whatever it is. But it's also just the toughness and the discipline and there's so much to, you know, when you go and lift, you're being judged. Like there are 3 judges sitting there judging your attempt, and it's some very specific things. Like you move a foot, an inch, that's red lights. Like you have to be so dialed into what you're doing, and you know they give you commands as to when to start the lift and when the lift ends, and so everything I do I relate to football. You know, it's, you know, we go down to time. It's, you know, it's the last lift. It's 4th and 2. We either got to get it or we don't. But like it's right now, you know, and so, you know, I try to translate it all back to football. And I have some kids that don't play football, but then I transfer it back to the other things they do, and also just transfer it back to life. But yeah, it's been exciting. You know, Manny's a big old kid, and I think he's going to have a really good year and do some good things for us.
Good. Yeah, he's as we talk about, like, because if you started now that powerlifting is kind of over with and everything, and you kind of start to look ahead to the, you know, the summer, and it kind of winds down everything. You start looking at to what, you know, your team could be next year. I had Coach Tolliver in here recently, and you know we were talking about, you know, the schedule is going to be a little bit different, which you guys all I think unanimously feel like, oh man, we gotta do something about this. But you've got a lot back. You've got a lot back. You got a stable of running backs, some wideouts, and you got a big tight end, and all the things. What was your? Are you one of these that kind of have an identity offensively when you started doing this, or do you kind of tweak it based on personnel, or is there a combination of both, or is there some non-negotiables in there?
It's kind of a combination.
Yeah.
You know, our first thing we talk about all the time. Number 1 is take care of the football.
Yeah.
And number 2, play with physicality. No matter what we do, run, pass, it's play physical football. But ultimately, we want to run the football, you know. But with establishing that opens up everything else. And we do have a core of guys out wide that can go. So, you know, I've never been a guy that, you know, it's this way. It's got to be this way. It's, you know, I always try to adapt to what our kids do well. You know, we've had years where we didn't have as many running backs, and we filled a little bit more. And then, you know, we're really blessed where we're at. We have everything. Like there's, you know, we've got a good group up front. You know, some returners, guys that, you know, we got to replace 2. You know, both offensive tackles, which is
Barrett Shigerick and Paxton
Laird.
Laird.
It's and those guys, you know, those are not easy shoes to fill, because those 2 are really, really good for us. But you know, I got 2 guys, Connor Cook, Ethan Tinsley, both have started for us the year prior at different positions, and I think those guys are going to plug right in, and they'll compete and give us everything they got. And I feel very good about what we have up front. Got some young kids that'll come on and, you know, provide some depth. But you know, yeah, we've, you know, obviously the holes we have, you know, we got to replace a quarterback. You know, Colton Bouchard was, you know, for 3 years the guy, but you know, Cy Leach is going to step right in and do a fantastic job. You know, we've got, you know, a couple other kids that, you know, Jameson Gonzalez has played quarterback, and he'll do that, as well as he will be all over the place. But we're going to use his skill set, and you know, Pierce Ferroni, Coleman Hendricks, J.J. Thompson, Jackson Funk. I mean, the list goes on of guys that we can get the ball to that. And it's not about just getting the ball to them, but when they get it, special things are going to happen. And so I'm excited. It's just, you know, it's one of those, you enjoy watching them compete in the other sports, but you always know that August is coming. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Have you know, talking about Caden Joseph and Talon Wilcox. Have you ever? I mean, that's a pretty.
I've never.
Yeah,
I've had some good running backs, and I've always had. I've had a good one, and then one that you always felt good that can go in and get you 10 or 12 carries. But those two guys, they could both go 25, 30 carries apiece, and they're really, really good. And so it's the schedule's going to change things a little bit. We're going to play some good people, which will be good for us once we get into district, and then hopefully into the postseason. And
tell me your thoughts on that, on the schedule.
Yeah, because
it's like, what is it? Is it Dumas? It's West Plains. It's
Plainview,
Midland, Greenwood,
both friendship schools.
Both friendship schools.
Yeah, we're
and that's just non-district.
That's non-district.
You're gonna.
District-wise, there's Levelland's got a lot of kids back. Estaca's got kids back, and Borger's going to be better. Perryton's got some, quarterback and receiver back. So, it'll be a challenge for us. And it's also the thing, when you're the district champion, you are until you're not. Mm-hmm. And I remind our guys, like, we are until we're not, and there'll be 10 guys on the schedule that try to make you not that. And even though the first 6 don't count to your districts, that's still those guys' mentality. You're a district champion. That's that. We fully have embraced having the target on our chest because it's there. So I'll tell you guys, you can embrace it and you can take it, or you can run from it. But if you're going to run from it, you're not ever going to accomplish anything real meaningful. So, But I think the schedule will help us just playing some different, just different people. I think is actually our kids are excited about that. Even though we've only played people for 2 years, they're kind of excited to play in different stadiums and different, people they've heard about in the playoffs. And so I think it'll be good. I think it'll test us. It's going to, force us to play our best every week, which is a good thing. And like I say, that's, it's a, and not that you don't have to every week, but there's still some that maybe we didn't have to, and we got by with some things that, being young still in some spots, we were able to get by with things, and at the end of the night, the scoreboard shows this really good result, but yet when you turn the tape on, it's maybe we didn't play as good as we thought we did. And it's so at some point, when you get in the postseason, those things start to catch up to you. And so I think this will be really good for us because we're going to play our best every week. And I think this group's very capable of, if you can get yourself into the big show, you can. A lot of things got to happen. You got to be healthy. You got all the things. But if you can do that, you got a chance to put a run together.
Because I think maybe you don't have the same record as a year ago, and you know how it is if you don't score as much as the other guy, and on a Saturday morning everybody's like, but that's not the point. Like with some of these non-district games, the point is but this is all about trying to peek ahead and get yourself ready so we don't have these issues in November and maybe December if you're lucky enough. But I think it'll be great. And anytime there's intercity games,
when there's
a lot of familiarity and I know all those guys. I played with that guy doing this thing or whatever. Yeah, it makes it spicy.
And then of course. Like Memorial, we've had them in the district in the
not football yet, but everything else.
But in basketball and the spring sports, and so there's already that chatter. Sure. And we went to 2 of Friendship's powerlifting meets, so we got to see the Friendship kids and competed against them, and so it's always fun.
Yeah, spicy meatball.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. What is the most for you? You talked about care factor, you talked about effort and all those things, but some of the things that are just most important to you, I mentioned that term non-negotiable. Like when you're coaching either powerlifting or football, some things that you carry around with you daily. And I'm not talking effort, but is there just a few things is it punctuality? Is it technique? Is it be where your feet are? I mean, is there some things that you just your core that you just won't? We're not going to waver from this, gentlemen.
That's I tell them all the time. We have a certain standard, and we're not going to play to a score. We're going to play to a standard.
Okay.
And at the end of the night, if the scoreboard's in our favor, great. And if it's not, then so be it. But we still have to play to our standard. And in that, everything's a process. And it's the character, the discipline, the effort, the humility. All those things are part of that process of upholding that standard. And I bet I say the word standard 100 times a day. It's just nonstop of play to the standard, work to the standard, be the standard on this set, in the weight room, whatever it is. Because I think our kids have high expectations, just like we do. It's just, when we're kids, we forget that. Like it's that we don't have the tunnel vision that adults do. So just constantly remind them, and remind them too what they're capable of. It's the talent's there, but just the teammate part of it, the loving each other, the taking care of each other. We got a lot of guys that have bought into that part of it. That are, I say all the time, you guys are like ultimate teammates. Y'all will do anything we ask you to do not just for us, but you'll do it for each other. And that's the thing that, that's a day by day thing. And probably the hardest thing, we got a lot of, we talked about the talent. It's everybody wants the ball, but I always tell them too. It's like, what do you do when you don't have the ball? How unselfish are you? Like,
that's where
what kind of block or what? That's the little things that that matter the most. So yeah, that's I just playing to the standard and stay focused on the process, and it's day by day and week by week, and our guys have done a good job of that. Finally having these guys 4 years, the leadership's coming out. There's a lot of things that I'll say, are you going to allow this? Is this your standard today? And they start to fix it.
Like Mike Leach used to say, you're either coaching it or allowing it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's right.
It's exactly it.
Yeah, that's right. And you're watching kids literally grow up.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Mature, and
yes.
Some kids get it way before others do. And a player-led program. That's the best thing.
That's the best thing. Yes,
that's right. Who is it that you? Two questions. Who is it that you pull from? Whether if there's somebody you could sit down with, it was a college or pro coach, either that's passed on or that's still living with us, who would you have loved to have sat down and just, I don't know, talk life, talk ball, talked philosophy, I don't know. Who would those people be?
Nick Saban would be number one.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's the whole process part of it.
Process oriented.
I was blessed in Sundown. We won 2 state championships in powerlifting. And on our rings, it has the word process, family, and compete. That was our kids to this very day, they still, when I see them, I ran into one over spring break in a restaurant, and he still talked about the process, and ran into a kid last night at the Football Foundation banquet
which is a great event. Yeah,
awesome
both
event.
there.
His stepdad received the officials award.
Okay.
And so I coached him, and he still talks about, he goes, Coach, I still use the same stuff, and he's a Lubbock police officer, does a lot of private stuff, big stuff. He's a good one. But all that to say, it's the same thing. So Nick Saban would be one. And my second one might surprise people because it's a basketball guy, but Dean Smith.
Oh, yeah.
North Carolina guy, just growing up.
Coach Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he my mom bought me a book when I was a kid, just randomly at Christmas. She said, I just saw this book and just thought about you. And so I read it in like 2 days. I'm not a big reader, but I just, that'd probably be my two, though.
Okay. Those are great answers.
Yep.
And like, if you exclude the 2 sports you coach, powerlifting and football, but is there another sport or another team that you pour into emotionally? College, pro?
Yeah, I mean,
that you like,
of course, I'm a Red Raider, so that's everything. And then, I love the Cowboys, even though they, they break my heart yearly, but I'm still there. I still hope, I'm a Texas Rangers fan, and I never thought that would happen, and it happened 3 years ago, so there's always hope, and but yeah, that's I stayed up till almost 1 o'clock last night watching the Dallas Stars, and I'm not even really that big of a hockey guy, but it's just sports.
Win.
Yeah, it's sports.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just a sports guy. So it's but
you'll have to I have to do this often because he's just an irrational Cowboy fan. But our man Coach Sexton is he's a bit flighty with his emotions as it relates to the Cowboys. Sometimes it's like, dude, calm down. It's gonna be okay. 30 years, and it's so sometimes we just have to like turn that.
Yeah.
I'll get a snarky. I think that's a word, snarky.
Yes.
I'll get a snarky text, or maybe it's smarmy. either one would apply to Joe's text messaging. But when it comes to Cowboy time, and it's like, dude, man, come on, I can't. I'm trying to enjoy. I'm trying to be like. So one of the few times where I get to sit back and be a fan. And
Yes,
just root
exactly.
root for a team. But yeah, and I've seen you multiple Texas Tech basketball games.
Yes,
Yeah. So that's
yes,
I know you enjoy that. You and your lovely wife.
Yes, been to a couple baseball games. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like me, man. You're just you're sports. I love it. It's the best reality TV there is.
Yes,
you know. And
yes.
so you're just like, yeah.
Kids ask me all the time, Coach, what do you watch on TV?
Sports.
I don't really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I hope you get away a little bit this summer as the semester winds down, and know that graduation's coming up, and I've got one in that ceremony, and you've got some kids that you coached for many years that are going to walk away from Liberty High School. So, anyway, it's been a fun experience so far.
Absolutely,
hopefully you've got many years left there. You're a good man. So, Coach Newton, appreciate the time. Offensive coordinator, play caller, offensive line coach, just all the things, man, over there at Liberty High School, and then does some powerlifting. And again, don't lift before you're supposed to, or that red light will come on, and then you're in trouble. Yeah, that's you don't want Coach Newton on you for that. But this has been another edition of Patriot Talk. I appreciate Coach Newton for his time. Colton Coons, thank you for producing this. As always, we'll talk to you again next time.